is work? Is this work? Or this? Or how about this? Would you consider this to be work? Or this? Most people wouldn't consider the last two work, but according to Dallas Smythe, it is. This is what Smythe calls audience power, and
because audience power is produced, sold, purchased, and consumed, it commands a price and is a commodity.
But how is this work? Audiences are sold for a price to advertisers. This is how audiences obtain programming. In other words, there's no free lunch. In order to get entertainment programming, the audience must be sold to an advertiser.
The work which audience members perform for the advertiser, to whom they have been sold, is learning to buy goods and to spend their income accordingly.
Okay, we have to buy goods, but we need them. And furthermore, we choose to watch television, right? We choose to be subjected to these advertisements, right? Wrong. Well, kinda wrong. Pre-industrial revolution workers had to work to reproduce their labor power. In other words, workers had to prepare to sustain themselves so they could work more.
But with the mass production of consumer goods, their work to reproduce their labor power depends on buying and using consumer goods in end product form.
One may ask, how did this happen? The traditional work week has been reduced since the Industrial Revolution. This is what the 8 hours of recreation is supposed to look like, but now we have to spend that free time doing other things. This includes consuming media, maintaining machinery that is supposed to make our lives easier, or fixing broken machinery by purchasing parts.
Perhaps the only conclusion to be drawn at this time on this point is that there is no free time devoid of audience activity which is not preempted by other activities which are market related.
But what happens when the market changes? How do advertisers make sure we are still doing work for them? It is the use of new information technologies and narrowcast media that fragment the formerly broad mass audience into groups of more diverse communities. In other words, how can advertisers make us work harder? The inception of cable television worked in their favor. In fact, the cable industry proved to be a particularly profitable site for new niche markets and the commodification of identities. Here's a shift that commodifies people by commodifying their identities. And so now we have an exchange between the producer and consumer instead of a passive consumer and an active producer. The consumer must exert mental energy by making a product choice. Cable television gave marketers a niche to advertise to specific people, thereby commodifying people more specifically through identity. With participation from consumers, a brand culture is created. As the consumer builds emotive relationships within brand culture, her work is enabled by media technologies and applauded by the surrounding rhetoric of empowerment. The inception of the internet helped to procure more work from consumers, furthering their commodification through the work they do. And Web 2.0 is the virtual icing on the advertiser's cake. Social media has weaseled its way into our lives, and advertisers have taken notice.
Facebook has proven to be extremely efficient at reducing users to datasets and cybernetic commodities, all within a muted, bland interface that does not detract from marketing efforts.
The failure of some software is that advertising could be averted.
Facebook offers no such workaround.
In fact, Facebook has done a great job at collecting data from its users in order to sell things that they are interested in.
Facebook has done a remarkable job of disciplining its users. Its rigid layout and its clean architecture are artifacts of its intent to and continued success at abstracting value from the aggregated labor of its users.
Facebook users have little to no idea of what they are doing when they hit the like button. In fact, the wealth that flows through Facebook, the reason Mark Zuckerberg is a billionaire, is abstract to Facebook users.
It is a concentrated representation peculiar to our historical movement a speculative bubble built out of the commodification of the private lives of Facebook members.
So when did this all begin? When did advertisers begin to commodify people as consumers? Many people think this is new to our generation. Many people like to think that the internet is to blame for these things. In fact, the blurring of boundaries between consumer producers so celebrated in Web 2.0 discourse is often cited as a tipping point in the formation of individual subjectivity from a passive consumer to an active subject. But we as an audience have been active for a long time. Dallas Smythe argues we have been active since the Industrial Revolution. Guy Debord warned of this in the 1960s. Debord says that
the spectacle is the moment when the commodity has attained the total occupation of social life.
But what is a commodity? Or rather, who is the commodity? We are sold for our work, and we do not have power over the sale. The spectacle
is all the sold labor of a society, which globally becomes the total commodity for which the cycle must be continued.
The commodification of people is who we are. It is what we do. It has become our legacy, our ideology. Do we work at a job that makes us feel good about what we do? Or do we work at a job that allows us to buy more things? We have become subjects of advertising.
Ideology acts or functions in such a way that it recruits subjects among the individuals, it recruits them all, or transforms the individuals into subjects.
Advertisers interpolate us. And things are not getting better. No, things are getting worse.